You know, back in the day when I first started playing ARK, none of it was really serious. Of course I did, the usual. Figured out how to tame stuff, build houses, and even die in the river to piranhas. But recently I can't help but notice the 100 days videos challenges getting harder and harder by the day. Like everybody's coming out with something even more wild. So I wondered to myself, why not just do the polar opposite of that? Play through 100 days and just kind of enjoy myself. I don't think any other YouTuber has done this before, so now it's time to just toss aside any expectations you had of this being a serious video. Some parts of this video I will be taking a little bit more seriously, because of course it is a new map, which means a new boss that I have to go try out, but that's pretty much it, honestly. So as always, grab yourself a snack, settle in, leave a like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Alright, so I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. I had no idea what I was doing when I clicked spawn on day 1 and ended up in the redwoods. I can't think of any other place I'd rather be at the moment, can you? Surprisingly, there weren't actually a lot of dinos, so I ended up wandering around until I got thirsty. Then I just decided I wanted to spawn somewhere else, so I persuaded a dragonfly to murder me. Spawn attempt 2, and I ended up in this weird jungle forest area with a lot of mushroom trees. Nothing was really spawning, so at the moment, it seemed a lot better than the redwoods. I take it back, this place is not better than the redwoods. Alright, third time's the charm, and this time I finally ended up on the beach. At first I thought the area was kind of boring, just like any other beach. And then I saw the wyverns. So, of course, obviously, naturally, I went up to one, and it didn't attack me, which was super weird. Not only that, I got close enough to see that they were a passive tame. Whatever that thing wanted to tame, I didn't have it, so for the time being, I would just start working on a base. Yeah, bet you never saw that one coming. Day 2, I was working on my base the entire day, and this just wasn't any normal base building. This was probably the most unproductive type of base building I could have done. I just kept going vertical, and what do you know? The entirety of day 3 was also spent working on the base. Wonder how high I can go with this thing. To start off day 4, I replaced the entire bottom portion of my base with stone, that way nothing could just destroy it and ruin all my precious progress. I did a little bit more building before realizing that I could probably be a lot more efficient if I had metal tools instead. So after a bit of labor, I finally had myself a refining forge and a mortar and pestle. Day 5, I set up a smithy and harvested some river stones for their metal. It was all fun and games until this snake decided it didn't like what I was doing to the environment and chased me off. So I went back, made some metal tools, and then returned with a vengeance. And this vengeance didn't last very long. Oh no! Day 6, I returned with a double vengeance for my stuff again, and I ended up dying one more time. I did finally get my stuff back though, snakes weren't that hard to outrun, but now that I had metal tools, it was time to get down to business. After all, this thatch version of the Burj Khalifa wasn't gonna build itself. Alright, and up we go. This is gonna be so cool. And, still building, still going up. I've been building so long that now instead of just falling to my death, it's like falling to my death times 3. Come with me, and you'll see a world of OSHA violations. Yeah, anybody else who spent 8 days working on a tower? Yeah, I didn't think so. Alright, now that's out of the way, I'm legally obliged to go get myself a wyvern. I also tamed this Moschops, but ended up leaving him behind anyway. I don't think I ever found him again. After that, I did finally do something productive and knocked out 2 high-level Pteranodons. The first one I knocked out ended up getting attacked though, and its taming effectiveness fell down to 24%. You know what? I don't even want to bother. You can just meet Jesus. Then I knocked out this Parasaur. Very anticlimactic. On day 12, the Pteranodon finished taming and I named him Poopy. After my Parasaur tamed as well, I just got the inexplicable urge to explore. I found a lone raptor close to the desert and wanted another friend. Hey listen guys, it ain't much, but it's honest work. I started considering maybe building a desert base, so I knocked out a Morellatops as well so I could have some water. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about the tower. I have other plans for that area. Once the Morellatops tamed, I named it Musty Water Bag and then set off again. Any progress progress is good progress, unless if that progress leads you directly into 2 basilisks. Everybody except me and Poopy died. Oh man, I don't really care. I don't even know why I came out here in the first place. I think ARK felt bad for me because later on I did find a red drop with a full canteen in it. Day 13, I found a cool little spot on this mountain thingy and decided to settle there. Well, actually, nah, let's go somewhere else. I found this weird land bridge that was really flat, perfect for building a base. I filled it with all the goods, a forge, a smithy, a pestle, and storage. On day 14, I found this level 145 raptor and tamed it. It took most of the day, but I finally figured out how to get back home. Now all I needed was a berry gatherer, and when I was looking at this level 130 iguanodon on this island, a pack of raptors came out of absolutely nowhere, and I got absolutely destroyed. Also, I guess I had a jerboa too, but I don't remember taming that. It's time to run back on foot because somebody didn't put a bed down. And no, I did not make it back first try. There was no way I made it back first try. As a matter of fact, I died a lot trying to get back. Yeah, cue the death compilation. It took most of the day, but I finally got my stuff and my Pteranodon stuff back. As I began to run home, I found this level 180 tech parasaur and I just could not resist. I mean, could you in this position? After I got home, I just kind of pondered as I crafted my narcotics about how much I hate this game sometimes. Day 16, I needed another Pteranodon, but now that I was on foot, there was just no avoiding some of the dangers, and I had a lot of close calls. Especially this segment where I had to swim through the water with hungry megalodons in a river. A river! Finally, my time of reckoning did come when I was surrounded by a bunch of angry bugs and an angry crystal wyvern. Nah, this is stupid. I'm going back to my tower. After I made myself metal tools again on day 17, I went around and killed a couple things and tamed some dilos. Because I felt like it, I guess. I got myself some crystal and decided to see if I could actually tame a crystal wyvern. Turns out I could. First attempt was going alright, until I accidentally punched it in the butt. It did not like that, obviously, and made me pay dearly. The second attempt was going great. Great, that is, until this Spino decided I looked delicious and booty slapped me into oblivion. I managed to get my stuff back, even though it was pretty much right under the Spino's nose. I don't know how I got away with that, but you know what? I'm not gonna complain. Then finally, the wyvern was mine. Now that I had a wyvern, I could pretty much go anywhere I wanted to. After exploring for a little bit of time, I did find a blood wyvern that was max level just chilling on this island. It was time to tame. Also, at some point, I don't know how I managed this, but I got on its head and I would just stay there as it was flying around so I could tame it in midair. That was pretty cool. Thanks to that neat unintentional trick, I managed to claim my prize before the end of the day. Day 19, I was harvesting a bunch of pelt with my new blood wyvern, and man, that thing was good. With my newly acquired resources, I went home to craft some fur armor, but I couldn't make a full set because I didn't have enough pelt to finish it, so it was back to the snowy area to get some more. Day 40, I finally had enough to make the full set of fur armor, and I made some trank arrows while I was at it. Then it was back to the snowy area so I could find some more tames. I found this level 145 Archie, and I felt way too lazy to build a trap, so I just kind of strafed it like so and kept shooting it. I can't believe this worked. This was so great. At the time of the knockout, a Rex began chasing me, so I had to run back to my blood wyvern to take care of the issue. As I began leading my RG home on day 21, I couldn't help but remember how much slower they are than wyverns. This was very painful. After I dropped it off at home, it was time to turn around and go look for oil. You know, just an American doing American things. No, I will not stop making that joke. It's funny. My search for oil led me to the desert, which had a bunch of mantises, which have a bunch of organic polymer. So I couldn't resist and went John Wick mode on them with my wyvern, exploiting them for their juicy resources. Then my search for oil continued, but I wasn't having much luck. After spending much of the day looking, with much sadness I realized I would probably have to go underwater to get some oil. I finally did see some oil deep in a lake below the floating islands area, so I decided I'd have to tame this dolphin in order to get it. I would just be in and out. Day 22, I had everything I needed to craft myself some cryopods, so I went to the nearest obelisk, the one in the snowy area, to make some. As powerful as my new wyvern Mr. Vamps is, it still can't seem to prevent me from getting molested by wolves. That was a close call. I found another high-level RG and decided I would tame it using the same stupid strafing method. This way I can totally prove that I'm both dumb and awesome. Once it finished taming, I made a pit stop to get some more crystal on the way home. Once I got home, I realized that one of them had a high health stat and the other had a high melee stat. You know what would be funny? What if I fought the boss with these things? I would need air conditioners before I could hatch an RG egg, but in the meantime, I'll just hatch this Dilo egg, just cause I can. Day 23, I took one of my new RGs out on a metal run. While I was waiting for it to smelt at home, I just went around and killed things on my wyvern for meat. Once I had my fill of bloodshed, I just went home and crafted trank arrows. Day 24, I needed a wood harvesting creature, and what better than a mammoth? Didn't take me too long to find this level 145, and once I did, I employed another really dumb method of knocking it out. Okay, Mr. Vamps, I need you to not move, otherwise this mammoth's gonna have a clear shot at me. Ah, yes. What a beautiful way to knock something out. As the mammoth was taming, I had to leave temporarily to a warmer spot because I started to die of cold. Hey, on the bright side, at least I landed right next to these oil rocks. How convenient. Day 25, I made a saddle for my new mammoth and went around harvesting a bunch of wood. Then I crafted a big old wooden platform across this river. This would be, I don't know. Then I went around murdering crystal wyverns nearby for their talents. I guess I needed them for the boss fight, so might as well get them now. Day 26, I set up a fabricator on that wooden platform I built. Might as well make it some sort of a crafting station. I don't know, I didn't have room in my tower anymore. This would be followed by another small little metal run on my RG, because there was a lot of things I needed metal for. Oh, please, make it stop. Then I needed electronics so I could make a generator, so I went around looking for tech creatures, because I didn't have any pearls. Eventually, I did find this tech Quetzal and I destroyed him so I could harvest his electronic organs. Then finally I had everything I needed to set up a generator. You know, I hate to say this, but I think I have to go tame an Ankylosaurus. I know, I didn't want to take this seriously either, but here we are. So once again I find myself in the snowy area, this time looking for, well yeah, you know what I'm looking for. I eventually came across this weird mountain that had a lot of electricity just zapping everywhere. I got close to one of the weird looking ball thingies to investigate and it turns out it's water. Not only that, if you harvest these clam-looking things, you get black pearls. On the downside though, there were some spookies in there, so I decided not to linger around. Ah, yes, finally! Ankies! Oh, they're bad levels. Never mind. I forgot to record the beginning of day 28, which was unfortunate because that was the most eventful part. You can't keep getting away with it! I found this high-level Anki that you see lying before me, and grabbed him and carried him home on my wyvern where I knocked him out right here in front of my base. And, all I did for the rest of this day was just wait for it to tame. Once the Anki tamed on day 29, I went out on a crystal run. Once I returned, I built this little 1x1 wooden box and threw some dodos in. I had a bit of an experiment I wanted to try. Day 30, I equipped the dino storage mod because I was getting sick of cryosickness from the cryopods. All I really did was wander around taming every single dodo I came across. Every single one of these tamed dodos would be thrown into this box. I just wanted to see what would happen if I put a whole bunch in. Oh gosh, look at it. It's like a bunch of popcorn. I'm not really sure what I did on day 31. My notes aren't exactly helping me out because it just says I wandered around. The only really noteworthy thing I did was make some scissors and give myself an afro haircut. I harvested some more wood and thatch on day 32 before finally conceding the fact that I had to go tame a Dodic for stone. I mean, I didn't have to, but it's kind of hard just to go around with an axe. I also had no idea where they spawned on this map, so I spent all day looking for one. No, like seriously, where do these things spawn? It's been like an hour of searching. When I finally found this max level Dodic, I decided to give it the Anki treatment. I took it home on my wyvern and then knocked it out in front of my friends. Why does this Dodic remind me of myself in middle school? It did did not go down easy though. I ran out of trank arrows about halfway through and had to craft some more. And then my crossbow broke, so I had to go repair that. Then when it finally passed out in the water right next to my wooden platform. So I carefully built some foundations under it to lift it above the surface, and we were good. Day 34, I sat around waiting for it to tame, and once it did, I went on a stone run. I did pretty much nothing else on day 35 except get a bunch of building material. What for, you ask? Well, I'm not gonna tell you, you're gonna have to find out later. And no, it's not a pretty house. Day 36, I began construction on my secret project. This thing is gonna be huge. I hope I'm not making it too big. Yeah, you read that right. I just did a 7-day time skip because I've been doing nothing but building a giant box. I'm starting to think I made this thing a little too big. Alright, on day 44 it was time to do something else. It was time for me to go look for some artifacts, and for that I would need a caving creature. So it was off to the redwoods so I could find myself a thyla, and if anybody tells me in the comments that it's a marsupial, screw your science. It's a cat. A feline. A kitty. Yeah, no, I'm coping so hard right now. I made a little pit stop before I actually reached the redwoods so I could craft myself the components of a trap. Day 45, I found a couple of low-level thylas and murdered them. I don't need that kind of bilge around here. Then I saw a 150. Yes please? I set up the trap nearby and then got bothered by this carno right at the end of it. I could have died, but you know, I'm like goated with the sauce or something, I don't know. The thyla was kind of hurting from a previous fight it had, so I killed the nearby carno and convinced the thyla to eat its carcass to heal. From there, it was easy leading it into the trap, and I had no problem knocking it out. I set up a campfire and began cooking prime meat to tame it and AFK'd for the rest of the day. It finished taming on day 46 and I named it I Don't Care, It's a Cat. I took it home, saddled it up, and then went on a killing rampage. On day 47, I finally accepted the fact that I had to go get some silica pearls because simply killing tech creatures wouldn't give me enough electronics. So I tamed a dolphin and that thing was just running around. I tried to make sure it wasn't on passive flee, but I have no idea. After some oxygen tanks, I went down into the deep-ish ocean and found a nice little spot where there were a bunch of pearls and no angry creatures. My pockets were filled to the brim with pearls, and once I turned around to go back home, I realized I didn't know where my dolphin was. It was nowhere to be found, so maybe something attacked it and it ran away, or maybe it just ran off. I have no idea. I will never understand this game. After I swam back to the surface, I re-logged just to be sure, and there was still nothing. No dolphin and no other creatures to be seen anywhere except on the surface. You know what? All that matters is that I got the pearls. Sometimes sacrifices must be made. Once I got back home, I was able to craft a ton of electronics, and with those electronics, I made some AC units. Now I could begin hatching my RG army. Day 48, I placed my AC units down and began hatching my bird eggs. I had a bit of a heart attack though, because my blood wyvern, Mr. Vamps, was nowhere to be found. I searched for him a little bit on my tropical crystal wyvern and then found him chilling on a beach a ways away. No idea how he got there, but you know what, at least he's okay. After that, it was time to crush my initial experimental dodo box and cryo them up. Then it was time for yet another small metal run. Day 49, I resumed work on my experimental structure thingy. I know, it's super confusing, but give it time and it will make more sense later. Once I got sick of that, I just began looking for artifacts. My artifact hunt on day 50 began in the redwoods, and I admit, I got a bit distracted at one point because I found these logs that I could fit my entire wyvern inside. I have absolutely no idea why these logs intrigue me so much. It's just so interesting. Is that an artifact? Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie there, I found that one completely on accident. My hunt for caves wasn't very successful after that. I went most of the way around the map until I got to the desert. I was looking through the trenches for another cave, and I kid you not, I accidentally found another one. This was definitely one of those right place, right time kind of moments. If I didn't see that little sliver of the artifact past the rock, I would have never seen it. Day 51, I found a decent level Basilosaurus in a river. River? You know what, whatever. It's a high enough level, I'm just gonna tame it. There were some other creatures in that river that disapproved of the taming process, but I showed them quickly with my thyla that I just don't care. Once I finished taming it, I took it home and saddled it up, and then spent the rest of the day leveling it up. Day 52, I continued working on my giant box. And then, once again, I began taming a lot of dodos. At this point, if you still don't know what I'm going to do with this giant box, that's just kind of sad. The next 3 days would be continued work on my box. I needed to be, well, big? I guess? I don't know. What do you mean I'm spending too much time on the box? Didn't you read the title of the video? Day 56, I got tired of building again and then went out to look for more artifacts. And no, my luck disappeared, so at this point I was ready to just look them up. Day 57, the day where I definitely didn't look up the locations of the artifacts. What are you talking about? Yeah, I looked them up. The first one was in this cool looking cave thingy tunnel ruin thing with a dragon statue and lots of megalanias. Unfortunately, megalanias are no match for my kitty. The artifact of the brute was kind of hard to find actually, even with directions, because it was just in some random location just out in the open in the bog. The artifact of the destroyer was easier to find because it was in a very easy to find lake, but this was also a lake that was infested with sarcos, piranhas, capros, you name it. However, you lake-dwelling creatures, consider this. I have a blood wyvern, and you don't. All in a day's work. We'll just ignore the fact that the internet did the work for me. Day 58, I found another artifact in a lake. I think it was the artifact of the massive? I don't remember. Then I returned home and began taming dodos. But I wouldn't be done taming dodos. Oh no! I had plans. I needed a lot of dodos. There would be no dodo safe from me. They were all going to be enslaved. Yes, sir. Every single dodo I came across. Okay, yeah. This is gonna take a while. Hold, please. You know, nothing really sends the message of not taking anything seriously like spending 10 consecutive days taming dodos. Why do I need all these dodos, you might ask? Well, simple. I got a new PC, 128 gigabytes of RAM, and I want to see how many dodos it takes to start testing it. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. That's the only reason. Understandably, by this point, I was a little bit sick of taming dodos, so I was gonna do something else that was equally productive. Listen, these testicular additions I wanted to get finished by day 69 for obvious metaphorical reasons, but that couldn't happen, unfortunately. Day 71, I finally finished giving my tower a nice set of balls. What has my humor become? I finally looked up which artifacts I would need to fight the Gamma rendition of the boss, and as it turns out, the artifact of the gunning was really close to my house, just deep in the ocean. I'm pretty sure I swam past this, trying to get to the pearls earlier. That's kind of embarrassing. After that, I pretty much prepared to go hunt down the last two artifacts. I had no idea what I would need to do to get them, so I made some oxygen tanks and some fur armor. I made some grapple hooks too, but I would end up not using any of this stuff. On day 72, it took some time and some googling, but I did end up finding the last two artifacts. Day 73, I delivered all of my artifacts to the nearest terminal, which was the green one. On my way back, I did find a drop with a ramshackle sword in it. Now I could feel like a true general, leading his grand army of dodos into battle. Speaking of dodos, I was back to taming them on day 74. I did also try to tame this unicorn, but it ended up getting away from me, and the taming effectiveness was so low that I just didn't care. I tamed even more dodos on day 75. You just couldn't stop this groundbreaking progress. Day 76, more dodos! I also crafted up all the RG saddles I would need. My first wave of RG children were all grown up and imprinted, so it was time to take them out and level them up for war. Once again, I had completely run out of metal on day 77, and I realized I could just do a metal run and level up RGs at the same time. Just so I could be more effective with the smelting process, I set up some more forges on my weird crafting platform. Then, just for my peace of mind, I separated all of my war RGs with the better stats from my meh RGs with the not so great stats. Day 78, I hatched some more birds and continued leveling up the ones that were fully grown. Day 79 was entirely spent on one trip for leveling RGs, and you know what? I just took the opportunity to try and explore a bit more. There wasn't much to see. I had seen most of the map at this point. Days 80 through 83 were all spent leveling RGs. I just was kind of on crunch time. This is what I get for putting all of this off to the last minute. But hey, these dodos aren't gonna tame themselves. There was something oddly satisfying about leveling up a whole group of flyers all at once. It was also really funny to send a whole gang of RGs after a Rex. They just swarmed, and then it was dead in seconds. This is art in its purest form, and you cannot change my mind. Day 84, I decided to take on a tropical wyvern with one of my RGs, and it was a very close call. A very stupid idea. Later on, I found this cluster grenade in a drop. I have no idea what I would use it for, but this thing was definitely going to explode at some point in this video. And of course, I'm still leveling up my birds. Day 85, it was pretty much the same old, but at one point I completely forgot I left my RGs on neutral and they got all jump happy and ruined my organization. Days 86 and 87, I'm back to taming more dodos. What, you think I forgot about this? No, I still have my priorities straight. Day 88, I'm still taming dodos. I did have to stop halfway through the day though because some of my babies needed to be imprinted, and then one of them was fully grown, so it was time for another leveling trip. On day 89, I was still on the same leveling trip when I realized that I probably should be looking for an alpha crystal wyvern. I still needed its talent to fight the gamma boss. However, fun fact, I have no idea where these things spawn, so I spent a lot of the day just wandering around where I usually would see wyverns. Nope, no luck. I could already tell this was gonna be a pain. Day 90, still looking. At this point, I'm just gonna use the spawn map on the wiki. Ah, finally! And look, this thing isn't even that bad. As it turns out, it was a blood wyvern, and I was on a blood wyvern, therefore I couldn't get hurt. Mr. Vamps also had twice as much health as this alpha, and not only that, his bite did twice as much damage, so in this scenario, who's the real alpha wyvern? I returned home that evening, only to turn around and head back out with 3 more RGs for another leveling trip. Leveling these RGs went a little faster than usual on day 91 because there was an alpha raptor to murder. Oh, juicy XP. This was pretty much the only part of the playthrough that I really took seriously. I mean, even if it was unlikely that I would win with these RGs, I was at least gonna try. Day 92, I'm back to taming dodos. Oh yeah. I had to make a pit stop halfway through the day to hatch some more RGs, but then it was back to taming dodos. More dodos. More dodos. I'll tame dodos until I drop dead. Day 94 was almost a carbon copy of the days before it until I realized that there was one creature I hadn't even attempted to tame yet. A the bird with the jetpack saddle. I paused the recording and then looked up how to actually tame this thing and started making a trap for it, but I didn't remember to hit record again until the end of the day when I actually had all the components with me. I mean, none of it was super expensive. The most expensive things there were the ballista and the chain bolas. It barely took me any time to find a high level tropio the next day, which is good because I thought it would take much longer than that. I set up my trap pretty much below it and started finagling it. It was kind of hard to keep aggro until I actually shot it. Once he was in the trap, I bullied him, fed him some prime meat, and then AFK'd while I waited for him to go hungry. But after a while, I noticed that he wasn't getting any more hungry, so I started hitting him. From what I saw, his hunger will deplete faster if he's hurt and healing. So I did that and then AFK'd again, but once more it didn't seem to be working. The thing healed most of the way by noon on day 96, but he still had lost no hunger. So then I tried shooting a bola at him again, and then finally he was losing hunger. So I shot him a bunch of times with a bow that I crafted up on the spot, and then let him heal and get hungry. And finally he was tamed. I took it home, crafted the saddle, and then went for a little joyride. And I gotta admit, this is pretty fun. Days 97 and 98 were spent leveling up the last RGs that I had. That's right, rip and tear, boys. Rip and tear. Day 99 was a bit clutch. I had finished leveling up my last RG. Then after that, it was pretty much just boss prep, which for me was just making a bunch of heals. I don't really care. Well, I finally made it to day 100, and now is a better time than any to show you my dodo work. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, allow me to show you the dodo box. Gotta love this juicy frame rate. It's a bit underwhelming if I'm being honest. I wanted more dodos, and it only took up 5 gigabytes of my RAM and about 20% of my CPU at best. But now is for the real test. Can they take on an enemy? Holy cow, that Dilo didn't stand a chance. Alright, tough guys, you like a challenge? Let's give you a bit of a challenge. Okay, some dodos are dying finally. Oh, my frames! My frames! Oh, that's actually impressive. Alright, clearly this is too easy for you guys, so let's put on a real challenge. Oh no! Yeah, I'm not really sure what I expected to happen here. Oh no, Mr. President, the Tropio's out of control! It's gonna hit the tower! Oh no! Oh, did I forget to mention that I also put a toilet on top of my tower? I somehow conveniently forgot to do that until the last day. Haha, would you believe it? Okay, fine. I'll get to the boss fight. Alright, men. We prepared for this. We trained for this. Holy cow, that actually worked. That was so cool, you guys. Let's use pyrotechnics to celebrate.
Cool.
Yeah, that's about all I got. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. It really helps me in the algorithm. Like I said at the beginning of the video, this was pretty much just to demonstrate that you can play this game however the heck you want to. Challenges are also amazing, but also just playing for comedy is also really fun. But if you guys are still watching, thank you so much, you legends, and I will see you in the next video.